What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Out of the Basement. I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And Steven.
Howdy.
And today we are discussing Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 1, the final season. Those videos are on private now, but so essentially we've never talked about Game of Thrones officially on the channel in the YouTube era of Out of the Basement.
In our canon.
Yes,
videos.
in canon Out of the Basement timeline, we haven't talked about Game of Thrones, but we're all huge fans of Game of Thrones. I've been personally watching this series on television since season 4. Got into it a little late. I thought it was overhyped at first, so I was kind of like...
I picked it up at season 5, but I have since watched I picked it up at season 5, but I have since watched the show 3 times.
Nice. I've watched it twice. Steve, what about you?
I started from the beginning, from season 1, I think, when season 5 or 6 was airing. Because you remember when I first started watching it.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, I'm going to bed. Close this door.
Yeah, when we used to live together.
Yeah.
I used to be like, alright, guys, I'm going to bed, and then
you'd hear Game of Thrones at
blaring.
maximum volume.
I have significant hearing damage. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
So hopefully we'll be doing every single episode one at a time, kind of giving like a little bit of a recap, a little bit of our thoughts, what we think is going to happen, a little bit of speculation, all that good stuff, like we normally do here on Out of the Basement. So we thought it was appropriate, and it's the final season. No more Game of Thrones, guys. My favorite television series of all time is finally coming to an end. So with this episode, of course, we're not dancing around the bush here. Full spoilers right out of the gate. If you don't want to know anything, pause this video, go watch the episode, come back.
Or mute the video, play it so we get that watch time.
Or that. That is a great idea, Justin. Shake my hand.
What's it going to hurt you? Just pop a new tab open, put it on mute. What's it going to hurt? Click the like button.
I mean, you might have Frontier Internet, and you might not be able to open another tab, but...
Is it going to kill you?
Make the sacrifice.
So, the beginning of this episode starts out right out of the gate with Jon and Dany returning to Winterfell in a very similar scene to a certain Season 1, Episode 1, where you had Robert and Cersei and Jaime all showing up to Winterfell, and then now we've got Jon and Dany showing up to Winterfell, and it's
same score,
the Robert Baratheon theme.
I think it's like the King's something the title of the song has the word king in it.
Yeah. You have the little kid running, and the little kid was Arya in season 1, and now it's just some random little kid.
Yeah, and he's like climbing, just like Bran.
Yeah. So it's like a nice symmetry.
Would you say it's like poetry?
It rhymes?
Yeah. It does, but it's not obnoxious. It's like a nice little
Less
reference
CGI.
there. Yeah. A lot less CGI. Which was a really nice touch. It kind of gave me like a little bit of a wash of nostalgia. Thinking back to season 1, how young everyone was, how innocent everything was to begin with. And now we're here. Everything has happened. Oh, what I wanted to mention was, what do you guys think of the new intro? I kind of really liked it. Like how intricate it is, because it's just the wall, and then Last Hearth, Winterfell, and King's Landing.
It caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was like, and like the bars are like darker, like on the sun thing, and I was like, man, this seems so different. And then it's like super intricate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Obviously, this season is much more of a focused storyline, so.
Yeah, so it's not really necessary to show like things in Essos and all the various things in Westeros.
Yeah, I highly doubt we're going many
Golden
other places. Company. Yeah, but I don't think we're going to be going many other places besides Winterfell, King's Landing, that sort of thing. I don't think that's really what's going to happen, but that's okay. Kind of needs to narrow down to finish the storyline. So, I guess first things, what did you guys think of the episode?
I enjoyed it. I will say there was a very minor few things that I thought were just out of place for Game of Thrones.
Like what?
Well, for example, I'm fine with like the dragon riding. whatever. But like when they were like kissing and Jon kept on looking back at Drogon and he's like staring him down, it was a little too comedic.
I thought it was fine when he first mentioned it, and then he looked back again like to end the scene.
Like,
I was like, okay, no.
And he's like,
it's like, you're kissing my mom.
Which like I understand, like
that dragon, y'all nasty.
Which like I understand, it's her children, and like I understand why it's there. I don't think it's like illogical. I just think it's just a little out of place.
Yeah.
It's just a little too hokey.
But then again, ever since the Game of Thrones, the TV series ran out of books to translate, the humor was definitely like turned up.
Yeah, like the very first line of dialogue was just Tyrion making another like Varys doesn't have balls joke.
Yeah, exactly. It's like but at this point I'm like used to the new humor. It's not as jarring as it was, and like I think that was season 6 where like Pycelle has like a fart joke. And it's the stupidest moment in Game of Thrones.
I do remember that. I don't remember what season it is, though.
But yeah, I also agree. I think the episode was pretty good. Of course, I was hoping it was going to be good. Even though season 6 and 7, I straight up, don't think those seasons are as good as the rest of the show.
I don't think they're as good as the rest of the show, but they're still really good.
Yeah, and upon rewatch, I kind of found myself forgiving a lot of the things that I was initially like really upset about when they first aired. So, my expectations were still high, and I think this episode delivered. I'm glad it wasn't like jumped right into the action, the battle's begun. I like that we're still kind of moving at like a little bit of a
character-driven.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower pace, getting to see like Jon and Arya finally meeting back together after all of this time apart from each other. I was in like Jon and Bran. I was like, who's cutting onions up in this place? Because I was seriously like, I could feel like the tears welling up. It sucks that Bran is not who he used to be.
Yeah.
But for Jon,
he's in another dimension. That boy.
He's an epic edgelord gamer now.
Yeah. One thing I do want to talk about with the reunions was Arya and the Hound finally meeting each other, and we got to see the glass weapons.
You are a cold little bitch.
Dragon glass.
Yeah, I loved the little exchange they had with each other, because it like at first they're like both like, but they're gonna.
Yeah, they gotta fight so hard to act like they don't like each other.
I fully expected them to have like an inside joke moment, like what with you and I have, where or like the group when we're like, brother, like start off by like saying something like really cruel and then like embracing,
just like Ned and Robert.
Yeah,
in the beginning.
I totally thought that was gonna happen and like they were gonna hug each other, but it didn't really go there. And then Arya and Gendry, a little bit of romantic chemistry.
The hottest item in Winterfell.
Also, do you guys think Gendry looks like Christian Bale?
A little bit, yeah.
Like that's all like Christian Bale in Terminator Salvation. I'm just like, I can't not see it. But anyways, what were you gonna say, J-Rick?
Might be a little weird,
but I think everyone is aged up in the show. Like in the books, they're like pretty young.
Isn't the actress that plays Arya in real life 20 or something?
Yeah, she's definitely like
okay, so she's
older.
At least actually of age in real life.
But we also don't exactly know how much time has passed.
And how old is Gendry?
From season to season. Yeah, that is also true. We don't know how old Gendry is supposed to be.
Maybe he just looks mature for his age.
But
could be.
Kind of weird to introduce. Yeah. Unless we're completely reading that scene wrong. But I know.
They have history.
Right.
So I mean,
what sold it for me is Arya looking back at him.
Yeah.
After she already walked away, I was like,
the walk away and then look back was like there it is. A little bit weird if they do try and do a romantic route this late in the series. Maybe they'll just have a little bit of a fling, or like they will become like really good like fighting partners or something like that. Maybe not necessarily a romance, but you never know. It is Game of Thrones. There is a lot of sex and nudity. Speaking of sex and nudity, when we got to see Bronn back on his bullshit.
That's where moms and dads everywhere go, now this is the part I don't like.
Yeah.
Why do they gotta show all of it?
Bronn cannot catch a break, and it is just it's like funny at this point.
Yeah.
Especially, he's just like, well, maybe another time. Just pulls his pants up, but
I do the little STG joke. I thought that was kind of funny.
yeah. Yeah, I guess Bronn's like,
wait, which one?
But the scene, Qyburn shows up, and Cersei has essentially paid Bronn an insane amount of gold to kill Tyrion and Jaime with the crossbow that killed their father, Tywin.
It's like, why did Cersei let Jaime escape?
That's what I'm thinking too, is like, he pretty much made it clear to her at the end of season 7 that like, okay, you're gonna betray these people and I'm not cool with that, so I'm leaving. And she's just like, but then
maybe she didn't believe him, maybe she had a change of heart, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, she is also carrying his child, so does she really want to murder him? But then again, going to that, it's like, Euron wants to impregnate Cersei so that they have like a little prince, but Cersei's
she's gonna pull the old King Robert switcheroo on him.
Well, Cersei's already pregnant, so you can't really get double pregnant. And I think part of me now wants, like, the way that her facial expression was in that scene leads me to believe that that was her plan all along. She wanted to get pregnant by Jaime so that she would block the chances of Euron impregnating her. Because in season
either that or she wanted to use that to try to guilt Jaime into maybe staying.
True, but
it's been a while since I saw season 7.
In season 7, she says, she doesn't care. She'll let everyone in the Seven Kingdoms know that it's her and Jaime's son. Like, she's no longer trying to hide that fact. I don't know how or if that's even going to play into this season. I doubt she'll have the child by the time the series is over. It's probably just like a little bit of a thing.
Yeah, maybe a red herring or something.
Yeah.
But she was definitely offended that Euron brought it up.
Yeah, true.
So she's still, maybe she was just bluffing, or that was just in the heat of the moment.
Dany finally gets to meet Sam after all this time. Her and Jorah go to, kind of reward Sam because he saved Jorah's life.
Yeah, you think it's going to be this nice little moment. And
yeah. And then Dany drops the nuke on Sam that she killed. It's
another guy that can't catch a break.
Yeah, but it's such a fun. It was almost like comedic in a moment where, she's like, "Yeah, I killed your dad," and he's like, "Oh, well then I can go back home because my brother's gonna be in charge." And then she's like, "And I killed your brother too." just like the way that Sam said the line of like, "Well, looks like I can go home." But I mean, he is technically now in charge of House Tarly, so
True.
He won't.
Maybe he'll get over it.
He won't. Yeah. Well, just based on his relationship with his father, I mean, obviously it's his father, so you're still going to be upset to some degree. But like that scene,
I think the brother is what pushed him to an emotional state.
And I agree, but it also seemed like he was already going there with his father. I thought for sure in my mind in that scene he was just going to be like, "Oh, you did me a favor," or something like that.
I mean, it's still his dad.
I know, but like their relationship was so bad, and especially the last time they saw each other, things were like as worse than it was ever.
But Samuel is just pure good.
Yeah,
true.
He is pure.
True. But,
family is family.
Yeah. So that scene was kind of weird. Just because, it was supposed to be a happy moment and then turned into a sad moment. And now Sam doesn't know. I feel like that's kind of skewed his judgment of Dany. Definitely. And especially the scene afterwards where Sam has to tell Jon about his family lineage. It almost seems like Sam really wants Jon
to know.
To know and to take control away from Dany.
Which, Daenerys has had some cold... She's made some cold decisions.
Right.
As of late. The kind of take no prisoners mentality, definite. It's not really honorable. Especially with Lannister soldiers who are drafted and don't really have a choice to fight.
As seen in that amazing scene with Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran being there takes you out of it, but I like that it humanizes the Lannister soldiers.
Yeah.
It just didn't need Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, if we could just delete Ed Sheeran out of that scene would probably be a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting to see how that goes. And, of course, Sam finally lets Jon know that he has been railing his aunt this whole time. And Jon doesn't know how to take it. I like that the scene focuses so much on Jon's facial expressions. It was like a nice little, like, you can just kind of see all of the emotions and everything really processing.
And he still tries to do the honorable thing because he's such a clone of Ned Stark. Yeah, he's just like, well, that's treason. Yeah, he's like, no, you're the fucking king, dude.
Like,
it's not treason.
You're literally the rightful heir to the throne.
Yeah, I like how he doesn't instantly think like, oh, I had sex with Daenerys. He instantly like questions the honor of Ned.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what his mind instantly jumped to, is like he's been lied to his whole life, not really like the revelation that Daenerys is related to him.
I also love that Ned has been dead since season 1, but his character arc continues to evolve throughout the series. It's like you just gain more and more and more respect for him as time goes on.
But I also like that Jon wasn't like, ugh, fuck Ned. Like, as soon as Sam was like, you would have been dead if it wasn't for him.
I don't think he would have done that anyways.
I would actually argue that Robb was more similar to Ned than Jon is. Jon's kind of a rule breaker.
In some regard.
Lets all the wildlings. That would have never happened without Jon. He left Lord Commander.
Well,
he would have been executed.
He does what's necessary for the good.
Yeah.
For always.
He doesn't do things by the book and officially. That's why I think Robb did more things by the book and officially. Like, oh, we have to behead him.
Yeah, but Ned lied to the king the whole time. He lied to his wife. He lied to everyone.
But also Robb broke the rules.
Yeah.
And married, what's-her-face. And then the Red Wedding happened.
Because he's like, love.
Yeah. He's like, I like her.
And that ended well.
Really well for
really
every
did.
character involved. Really well. Then we also Tyrion and Varys and Sir Davos. They're plotting something.
I want to propose a proposition.
With all due respect, Lord Stannis.
But what could they be proposing?
Yeah,
I'm curious to find out what's going to be going on.
Those little fuckers.
And this is like off that topic, but I just thought I thought Jaime was taking like his Lannister soldiers to the north.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Because I thought he was still in charge of the Lannister army. I mean, he still technically is in charge of the Lannister army.
I think he is, but he.
So I thought he was like bringing some of his boys with him. I wasn't expecting him to come alone.
Well, I think that's what they think, is that Jaime or whoever is going to bring Lannister soldiers north. And I'm sure in the next episode they'll be like, where are the soldiers at?
Or maybe we'll do a psych up moment like, here they are, they're finally here. And then like, oh, wait a minute, they're here. And then the Lannisters start attacking what's left of the northern soldiers.
Good, I hope
to
not.
try and
I mean, they're significantly more northerners because they have the Unsullied and all the Dothrak. 200, what, 2 or 300,000
with the Golden Company.
They have the Golden Company.
Which was how many?
I don't know, but no elephants.
No fucking elephants.
No CGI budget.
Yeah. Speaking of the CGI, I feel like it is pretty good for what it is in this season so far, just based on the one episode.
Yeah.
And they use so much subtle CGI that you don't even notice with like the castle structures and everything. It looks so natural.
Yeah.
So it looks amazing. I don't want to shit on the CGI in Game of Thrones, but
I'd be interested to look at how many soldiers the Golden Company is, because I don't think it's a lot. I think it's like I don't want to say 2,000. I think it's 2 something, like 20,000?
Maybe.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but we did also get introduced to a new character, the head of the Golden Company.
Who just looks oddly familiar.
Yeah, he does look really familiar. I couldn't put my finger on where he's from.
He's vaguely familiar white guy, number 1.
Yeah, but he definitely looks like an actor I know.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say earlier, kind of going back a little bit, was that Jon just instantly rides the dragon. No questions asked. And of course it's established that Targaryens are the only people that can ride dragons, and that's not throwing up any red flags for Dany.
Does she even know that?
But Dany grew up as like a kind of a runaway, and maybe she wasn't like educated on the lore of her.
But you don't think Viserys was filling her with the lore of her people? Because I feel like that's what he was kind of doing at the beginning of the show, like talking about how great the Targaryens were. So I feel like
it's either Dany doesn't know or the writers made a mistake.
The writers.
When did they establish that only Targaryens? In the show, where did they establish it?
I mean, I don't recall exactly where, but it is 100%. Like, even at the end, that little bonus featurette that plays after the episode, the two executive producers of the show straight up say, only Targaryens can ride dragons. So, like, they literally...
No, I mean, obviously the producers would know.
Yeah, I don't...
They wrote the show.
I mean, I know it's in the series at some point, but I don't remember exactly where.
I'd be interested to see where, because maybe Daenerys just didn't know. Maybe she wasn't there when somebody said it.
But still, it's just, you wouldn't think like her children. I don't know. That scene, it just felt so weird to me. Like, it wouldn't throw up any sort of like signal to her that like something's going on with Jon.
Why else would she propose that Jon would ride a dragon? Maybe she just ride a dragon. It's a normal thing, everyday thing.
I wouldn't expect really Jon to know that only Targaryens.
Well, obviously, dragons. but like just the way that like the dragons are so hostile towards like literally every other person in the show. But like obviously there was that one scene in season 7 or whatever where he pets the dragon. But like I don't know, it felt too convenient that he was just like, oh, riding a dragon. Like,
well, now he knows.
No questions asked. But that scene, I was just kind of like, so that's it.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like a bigger moment, like Jon figuring out how to like ride a dragon, like maybe like he was in a pinch or something, and
yeah, maybe they'll save that big epic moment for when he embraces his true identity, or if he does. Do you think he will?
No, I think he's gonna be Jon for the rest of the show. Like, I don't think he's going to start calling himself Aegon.
Well, I mean, yeah, but what if he has, like,
his hair turns silver?
Yeah. So you don't think that'll come into play at all? If he never admits it? Because then what was the point of introducing that in the first place?
No, I think he's gonna admit it. But I think...
That's what I was saying. Like, do you think he'll accept it? And do you think he'll embrace it? Like, maybe he'll have that epic moment where he's like, no, I am Aegon Targaryen, or I'm Aegon, or I don't know.
I don't know. It's really hard to say. There's just not a lot there at the moment.
I think it'll eventually be known to everyone. Because, like, why else would you introduce that aspect of the story?
I think arguably, I don't even think it's arguable. I think it is the most important aspect of the story.
Well, yeah, the book series is called A Song of Fire and Ice. That could, at this point, it could either be literally referencing Dany and Jon getting together, or it could be just referencing Jon because he is a Stark and a Targaryen, ice and fire. So it's like, it's one of those two things is going to happen. And even Tyrion suggests in the episode, why don't they just rule together? Like king and queen, both ruling equally. So... that kind of seems like where the show is headed.
Or maybe Dany's a little too power hungry to do.
Yeah, that could be the other thing I could see is Dany kind of being like, no, I fought so hard for this for so long. Like,
and then you just come along and, whoop, you're a Targaryen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll need more proof than word of mouth.
Yeah. Or she turns into the Mad Queen.
And, like, nobody knows that Bran is a three-eyed raven, right?
No.
Like, they just... Do people know that he sees everything? Because, like, Sam just says he has this thing.
Well, I think they know he has, like, the sight, but they don't... I mean, I don't think the people know, like, what the three-eyed raven is.
But it's established that everyone knows, like, okay, Bran sees everything as it's happening.
Bran says in Season 7... I think he says it to Mira, so never mind. But he openly calls himself the three-eyed raven.
Yeah. Doesn't he say, like, I'm not Bran Stark? Anything?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not Bran. So, I mean...
But I'm just... all I'm asking is, does people like Jon and everyone know that he has the ability to see everything as it's happening and the past?
Not right now.
Because they can use that it's kind of the ultimate
Yeah.
god tier, overpowered.
But you could see Bran doing some shit like, no, like I'm not going to use my powers for that, or I can't, or some reason.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it'll end up being, is he'll be like, I can't do that.
And they're like, come on, you motherfucker. And he's
Yeah.
just like, no, it's alright, I'm too mysterious.
I definitely think that's probably what would happen with
Because
his powers.
Bran is really the Night King.
He's Bran the Builder. He built the wall. One last thing I wanted to mention, though, no Night King in this episode. No Army of the Dead. I kind of thought we'd at least get a little bit of an update on what they're going on.
Just walking.
Well,
Yeah.
we did get the update, but we just didn't see it.
What are you talking about?
Where they're like, right at the end of the episode, they're like, they've already broken through the wall. They're halfway to Winterfell. And they're like, well, we can beat them if...
Oh, right.
And then we get the epic end scene with Tormund and crew.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that. Yeah, and then the ending scene turns into a little bit of a horror movie
It's awesome.
with Tormund and little baby boy Umber.
And you see, like, out of focus in the background, his eyes turning blue, and I was like...
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
shit.
awesome. I was like, ugh.
It almost reminded me kind of a little bit Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Because, obviously he's up on the wall, and he's going
Just
crazy.
how badass does Barrack look now? The eye patch, the big armor, the cape, the flaming sword.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why does he look so cool? And he just handles business. I'm glad that he can still do the flame thing, because I was
Yeah.
kind of thinking like maybe since Thoros of Myr died that maybe he'd lose some of that power. But then, probably the writers were like, flaming sword's fucking awesome. So like, why would you get rid of that?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. I loved the legs and like that little swirly circle design they did, and how it
Yeah.
all burst into flames. Like, great scene. Loved the little bit of a horror element thrown in there at the last minute. For a minute, I was like, oh my god, like when there's blood stains everywhere and there's no bodies, I was like, they're all about to get ambushed by the Army of the Dead, and all these people are about to fucking die. But thankfully that didn't happen, at least not yet.
Tormund has to get with
Yeah, no
Brienne.
Brienne.
Yeah.
where's Brienne?
Well, she was just he got to see her sitting there in like the council meeting with Sansa and
I didn't even know.
I didn't even notice.
yeah, she's just like chilling on the benches, but it's not really that big of a detail. Same thing with those scenes too, where like Dany and Sansa are clearly kind of like at each
Bringing
other.
the claws out.
Yeah.
And then there's like the thing with like some people care about the titles and stuff, the King of the North. And I like the one guy out of that entire room goes, King of the North.
King of the North.
John's like, you fucking idiots! I did what I had to do.
Yeah, that like
To keep you all safe. Like, this is for you
like
guys.
watching all of them disapprove of Jon. I'm just like, what a bunch of dumb
That's
fucking
what-
idiots.
That's the thing that pisses me off about the Northerners is they're so stubborn. I mean, I get it, but still, it's just like,
Yeah.
ugh.
It's like that's what they're supposed to be, and we're supposed to be feeling the way that we are. Like the show is working effectively, but still, I'm just like, God, like I wouldn't care if all of you died because you deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a product of how their society is.
Yeah, and they don't know what we
Titles.
know, obviously.
True.
So.
They haven't seen the Army of the Dead. I fought them twice.
I mean, yeah, why can't Jon just be king?
Because he's the king of everything.
Queen.
And that includes the North.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on the episodes, gentlemen, before we roll on out
Or
of
maybe
here.
they'll split up the kingdoms.
A little division.
Yeah.
North and South Westeros.
Well, that was one of the criteria that Rob sent them, that like the North is going to be its own separate kingdom.
Yeah, so
And
maybe
Cersei-
that'll come to pass.
Yep. What'd you think, Buck?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode a lot. The pacing is very fast compared to seasons 1 through 5, which obviously they don't have a lot of time to work with, so I understand. So they just cut to the chase this episode a little bit
They had to
without
hit,
the
like-
big action set pieces,
Yeah,
which
they
I
had to
liked.
hit like every character, like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah,
boom,
it was a
boom.
nice little update to reintroduce, get back into speed. Because for most people, it's been 2 years. Whereas for me, it's been 1 week since I finished season 7.
A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Mike, not our Mike, out of the basement Mike, but other Mike, he's literally seen season 1, episode 1, and season 8, episode 1.
Jesus Christ.
So I thought that's great. Just no idea what's going on. And I respect it. I respect him.
Like, why even attempt to try and understand what's going on? He's a crazy boy. But, yeah, I agree. I thought the episode was a strong start to Season 8. Hopefully...
There's a few weird
there's
little things in there
but
that I didn't like.
Overall, I'm in. I'm ready for next Sunday. I can't wait to see how this season is going to play out.
I would agree with that.
So that's our thoughts on Season 8, Episode 1 of Game of Thrones. What did you think? Comment down below. Let's have a discussion about what's going on in this show. Let's speculate about what's going to happen. Because Game of Thrones is something we're all really passionate about, but we've never actually expressed it on the channel. So if you're passionate too, let's have a conversation in the comments. Of course, if you liked our little review discussion, leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. We're going to try again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, to cover each and every episode of the final season. Ring the bell for notifications so you know when we're dropping these videos at least once a week. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a series ranking. I don't know what the future holds for our Game of Thrones discussions.
What's our skit gonna be for that video?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly all this speculation of our channels, right? You should subscribe
So for the watch, but we actually stab each other.
I think that's a great
For the
idea.
watch prank gone wrong. We're gonna end up on the front page
for the views.
Now hold on to that. Don't steal that idea. Of course, I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
And Steven.
Take care.
And we will see you guys next time on Out of the Basement.